Nico Fenu is the co-founder and CEO of Nami Surgical, a groundbreaking company turning state-of-the-art research into practical surgical tools that are saving lives. With a PhD in ultrasound materials and power ultrasonics from the University of Glasgow, Nico has dedicated his career to exploring the immense potential of ultrasound technology in the medical field. Tell me about your background and upbringing.
So I've studied, as you said, biomedical engineering back home in Italy. I'm from Sardinia, which is a small island in the center of the Mediterranean Sea. I wouldn't say I was very passionate about engineering at that time. In fact, I think it took me longer even to graduate. I didn't have a very good relationship with the university, to be honest. Once I finished, graduated, celebrated the graduation, and decided to move to Dundee in Scotland, not to study, but just to learn English at start, because I didn't speak any other languages. Started working in a restaurant first as a waiter and then as a chef, and decided to go back to study and start with a master in biomedical engineering again, which kind of opened a huge set of opportunities for me. I'm very pleased I've decided to do that master, and after that I got offered a PhD in Glasgow, and that's how I ended up. This is my 10th year in Scotland now.
Okay, very good. So Dundee, how does a man from Sardinia choose Dundee on the map? How does that work?
Right, so everyone asked me the same question, really. So Dundee, so I had a friend that was doing a master as well at the university, so that was my connection to Dundee, but I didn't want to go as anyone else to London, because I've been to London a few times, but then you go and then you end up in Italian communities and you barely start speaking, and then I just wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone completely. New life, new me, sort of thing. But Scotland, people don't know, but Scotland and Italy is very famous just for probably the movie Highlander, but it's like this remote country, beautiful, lots of nature. So I was attracted more to Scotland than to like England, let's say.
What was it then that got you interested in life sciences and biomedical science? What was it that triggered that?
I think the pivotal moment was when you actually see the applications of what you study in a real environment. So as part of the master, in particular, the University of Dundee is brilliant for this. They work in connection with the Nine Wells hospitals, which is one of the major hospitals in the country. And you've got classes at the hospitals. They've got teaching staff that works full-time at the hospital. So you get very good connection, good link with people that are on the front of surgical innovations, as well as medical physics. There's people that work in the electronics, or we go in contact with people that work with the logistics of the hospital. So you get in touch very close to all the problems that you've got in hospitals, how to solve them, and basically you can connect effectively what you studied in the class with practical applications immediately. Back home, I think the learnings were all really good, very theoretical, but didn't have any, I didn't dare have my hands dirty in anything. So that was really I can make a difference here. This is the place I want to be. This is the thing I want to study and improve.
How did you kind of transition and get started in business as opposed to continuing perhaps in an academic environment, doing more research or whatever?
So I'm quite maybe a longer answer, just because I didn't plan this. So I think it's my ability of falling into things randomly and selecting the right path at the right moment. My story, I think, starts before COVID. I think I was in China. I was doing an internship, and when COVID was about to start, I had to come back, and I came back with the last kind of flight back to London from Shanghai. When I came back, I was supposed to stay in China, I don't know, for between 6 to 9 months and complete my PhD there, but that didn't happen. And when I came back, basically, I got offered a job as a postdoc, although I didn't have my doctorate yet, in a research grant that was called UltraSearch, and that grant was looking at the future of ultrasonic instruments in surgery. It's like, oh, that sounds brilliant. I joined it and I was tasked with creating new instruments for surgery using ultrasonics, but my background was purely materials, and I'm like not a material scientist, but I worked on ultrasonic materials for applications which could be sonars, it could be surgery, anything. I found a solution for a big problem that has already a very good industrial application. I've got all these people that want this instrument. My answer to that was like, I didn't get frustrated, I just go data and more data and more data to prove that actually my solution was good. And finally, I got the university interested. I spoke to the innovation services at the University of Glasgow. They did their patent research on the background. And they said, okay, this is good to file a patent. And everything from there was super quick. And we filed the patent. I've applied for a program from Innovate UK called iCure, which was doing market research for 4 months. So I got that funded as well. And we spun out the company, and all of that in a month and a half. So I left my academic career and started this market research, but I didn't know what it was.
Both you and your co-founder, Rebecca Cleary, are very sports orientated, aren't you? So how do you find that helps in business and what you do?
Right, so there's, yes, first of all, yeah, so Rebecca is my co-founder, and she's like me. We live 2 lives at the same time. So we got the daily job, which is my full-time job at Nami, and then in the evenings, we both coach. I coach 7 days a week, every single day. It helps me in 2 ways. So the first one, because I coach a team sport, I think I'm quite good with people. So it helps me people managing, understand their needs, but I'm also very empathic. So I can read the room very quickly, and helps me making quick decisions. During a game, you need to make quick decisions that maybe have an outcome at the end, or maybe not, but it's all on me. So I feel like that responsibility and ability of steering things quickly came from water polo and also people managing. And the second one is more on kind of Zen phase. So if I have to think about all the things that I do in work, and I'll go home and I'll just sit on my sofa, I'll keep thinking about them, and then basically I don't stop working. While having this commitment of coaching every day helps me to stop and relax, let's say, from work and focus on something else. So helps my sanity, I think, to stay in one place, and my routine as well.
We know what the idea behind Nami Surgical was, because you've kind of clearly described that before. But what's the mission, if it can be crystallized?
So the mission is actually as an origin in Glasgow itself. I think Glasgow's been and will be the epicenter of ultrasonic engineering worldwide. It's probably the University of Glasgow together with the University of Strathclyde are the largest ultrasonic group in the world by miles. So there's a huge ultrasonic community and not enough, I think, ultrasonic jobs around Glasgow. So all this talent basically leaks everywhere, and some of them end up even doing things that are not related to ultrasonic. But then I feel there was a need for an ultrasonic company in Glasgow that is doing power transducers for surgical tools. The vision is, so now we're focusing on one specific application, which is robotic surgery. Just huge traction worldwide. But there is an opportunity to leverage this technology also for handheld instruments for laparoscopy. There's bone surgical scalpels that can be done with ultrasonics, and we can do them more effectively. So there is a huge product pipeline that we want to deliver in the future and make this company sustainable and enter the market, not just in partnership but with our own products as well. Once the surgical mission is finished, I think I can pivot the technology into even something else.
What's been the biggest challenge since taking on the role of CEO?
I think the biggest challenge for me, and I'll say this because I'm not I've not been involved in any business before, was having a solid business plan. And I don't mean solid in terms of like, oh, it ticks all the boxes. Is it really viable? And the challenge associated to that is, how can I convince people that this is a great idea and investors that this will make money eventually? So raising money with a solid and structured business plan was hard. Before I used to think only in R&D, kind of in my head there was only R&D. What are the steps that I need to make this technology and make it happen? But there's a lot of business areas that need to be there to convince people that your business is a business, first of all. So I had to learn a lot, but I was really fortunate. I think in Scotland there is the power of Scotland is the ecosystem, and the ecosystem for startups really helps you and make you understand if you're making a mistake early on. So when you put yourself in front of investors, you kind of have a compelling story.
What do you foresee then as your, I suppose, biggest challenge in the medium term then?
So in the medium term, so we've raised the seed in April, and we're planning another fundraise by the end of the year. The biggest challenge, and I think it's commercial. It's not a challenge. It's like we need to make choices that will affect the business and make those choices early on in a way that won't impact or jeopardize the business later on. So for us, we are a B2B for surgical robotics mainly, or OEM or medical devices, or medical device companies that operate in both spaces, either robotics or B2C directly to customers. So for us, the challenge is navigate the space in a way that we won't be just focused on one single company. We would like to work with all the companies, so we need to kind of be careful and strategic in the way we work.
What's the relationship with your investors here in Scotland been like, or no, just in Scotland, but what's your relationship with investors, and how's that kind of helped or otherwise?
So actually I'm very pleased because we managed to close the first round with all local investors. So for local, I mean Spain and Scotland, we've got EOS, Maven, SIS Venture, and Scottish Enterprise. So I'll start from SIS Ventures because they are impact investors, and we, myself and Rebecca, really pushed to have like an impact investors because what we do, basically we have a medical application. We need to create impact, and they help us also steering the plans and help write them to make sure that we are recognized as like an impactful company in the surgical space for patients, because that's ultimately why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Our lead investors are EOS, which we found extremely helpful, especially early on in writing that compelling business plan, and make sure we were able to drag also other investors. And then Maven were extremely helpful in with the financials. So that was probably like our weak spot, especially long-term financials. I mean, but instead of like approaching this as a challenge, they wanted to make sure that we understood them, and then we were basically thinking about the future rather than in the imminent future. Because that's easy, let's say relatively easy if you've got plans, but then make sure that your company is viable, and they helped us shaping them.
What have been your biggest distractions? Because there are always those, aren't there? You know, what's impacted on your capacity to actually do the day job, do you think? What are the biggest distractions?
So, well, first of all, I really like the commercial side of things, especially conversation that maybe they start from nowhere, but maybe they are leads and then you need to follow up. So I don't call them distraction, but there is a lot of things I could be distracted with if I follow up on every single pseudo lead that I have commercially. And it's not just a distraction for me, it's probably a distraction for the team, because every conversation needs a follow-up and probably there's a technical input needed. So at the start, I was probably chasing too many leads at the same time, while now I value more the relationship with the customers.
If you had the opportunity to go back to the start of the journey, give yourself some advice, knowing what you know now, what would you do?
The main one that I would have done differently was trusting myself and my co-founder a little bit more at the start. I don't mean just the gut feelings of dealing with specific people, but being more like forward and taking responsibilities and making sure people understand that you can take responsibility early on, although you've not done this before. So I said I was very inexperienced, so I asked for a lot of help, but there was a point where I probably had too much help, too many chefs in the case, and we ended up making the wrong decisions just because we said, okay, well, I don't have the experience, so probably you know better, I'll trust you. But actually, we were able to turn those decisions. To get together with Rebecca, we said, well, at some point, this is your company, you feel this is your baby, and then if it's like life threatened, and then you feel like you emerge as a leader and just say, well, okay, guys, that's not the way we would like to do things. And if we keep doing things this way, either the company dies and I'm out. So actually it was that turning point. So I'll do that differently. I would rather make mistakes myself, especially early on. I would have made mistakes myself than trust people that they're not understanding the roots of the business.
What's the future for Nami Surgical then? What's the goal for you?
Right, so we're now, after moving from 3 people to 15, we've got a solid baseline of people that are very valid. We've moved the headquarters, so that's one of the things I'm mostly pleased of. We can do everything in-house with the manufacturing or prototyping, testing. We've got a surgical room. We can invite customer over and not be ashamed of our lab anymore, because it's spot on. So now the focus is purely commercial. We have developed the technology to a level that it can be presented and delivers. It does the job. So we're getting out there and try to close some commercial deals, which will shape the future of Nami. We want to do surgical robotics. As I said, that's our main focus because the market is big and makes sense for us to focus on that one. We're tackling US, EU and UK for that, but we've got plans to expand also in Japan, South Korea and China.
Right. Very good.
Second part, which will be part of the new race, we want to develop the product pipeline. So there'll be a few key hires, pure technical hires and few business development people to hire to deliver those products. And I don't have a timeline for them yet, but I'm very focused on what we want to do. And the second big one, which I'm gonna drop a bomb here probably, is that we want to have a bigger representation in US.
Fantastic. So thank you very much, Nico. It's been very interesting to talk to you, and we look forward to watching developments and seeing how it all transfers into from the vision into reality. So thank you again.
Thanks so much, Kieran. It was a pleasure and always happy to do this.